Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our podcast.
Ciao guys.
Today we speak about free agents, but we don't start with, or maybe we start with a player that is not anymore in this list. It's Upamecano.
Yes, because the Upamecano was going to be a free agent, probably for a few hours on deadline day. There was this feeling internally in Bayern when they retired their new contract proposal to Upamecano, but then after a few hours, the player told Bayern, no, wait, I want to stay, I want to continue. And so Upamecano will put pen to paper very soon until June 2030. As we already said here on the podcast, is a huge, huge move for Bayern, being able to keep one of the best defenders in the game. Obviously, it's going to be expensive because we say free agent, but then in terms obviously of signing fee, salary, and all the rest is still going to be like a new signing. But at the same time, Bayern believe they're keeping one of the best players in the game at center back. They are very happy with the attitude of Upamecano. There was interest, as I said, especially from Paris Saint-Germain, more than Real Madrid, but the player decided to stay, and so Upamecano is going to be part of the Bayern project, not just for present, but also for future. And let me add one thing, really important, also Vincent Kompany, who obviously was a fantastic defender. He always had a fantastic connection with Upamecano in terms of helping him to develop, and now they're going to continue together at Bayern.
We know there are also some big names out there that can be out of contract very soon. Who do you think can be the star that we have to watch?
I think the big name is going to be Bernardo Silva. So probably in terms of value of the player, now he's not super young anymore, but he's not even old. He's still making the difference for Manchester City. So he's probably financially not that crazy as a name, but in terms of quality, in terms of being one of the best in the world in his position, I think the situation of Bernardo Silva is going to be very, very interesting because there are clubs from Saudi very interested, clubs from MLS also interested, and then there is Europe. I would not close the door of another European experience for Bernardo Silva, who is still 31, who is still making a difference for City, and I expect Bernardo to leave Manchester City on a free. I think there is a serious possibility to see Bernardo Silva leaving on a free, and so watch out for this one because at the moment it's still early stages, just some conversations with his agent, but still early. Bernardo is yet to officially communicate to Manchester City his decision, but the feeling in the industry is that Bernardo Silva could go.
And then who can be an underrated free agent that you expect to be a big one in the summer?
Yeah, look, I think there will be plenty of underrated this summer because probably there are not so many super big names, maybe few of them. And then the rest is maybe some medium players, but some of them could be really interesting to follow on the market. And one of them is, in my opinion, Oscar Mingueza, this defender from Celta Vigo, former Barcelona player who already had a proposal from Juventus in the January window. They decided not to proceed from Celta Vigo because they had the 50% sell-on clause to give to Barcelona. And so they were basically thinking we prefer to keep the player rather than receiving 50% of the amount in January for a player who is out of contract in the summer. But now Juventus remain interested for the summer transfer window, so you were still there for Mingueza. And then there are also Premier League clubs. I can tell you today that from Premier League some calls took place to understand the situation of Oscar Mingueza, so I think this could be an interesting situation to follow.
Mentioning Juventus, the Italian club were not able to solve the situation of Dusan Vlahovic over the last couple of months, maybe more than a month. What do you think will be the future of Dusan Vlahovic?
I think there will be plenty of movement around Dusan Vlahovic very soon. Now it's quite in the media, but I think soon will be interesting to see what happens. There have been many links with AC Milan. Let's see, because Milan wanted to sign Mateta at the end of the window, but then the deal collapsed after the medical, and so let's see what Milan decide to do. For sure, he's always been appreciated by Milan, Dusan Vlahovic, but at the moment there is still nothing signed or nothing happened. Then there is, for me, one to watch is the situation at Barcelona. Because let's see what happens with Lewandowski. We will talk about that in a minute. But Barcelona have always been attentive to the situation of Dusan Vlahovic. So that could be also a story to follow. And then don't forget that around October, Bayern were calling. Those calls have not continued in the following months. So at the moment it's quiet between Bayern and Vlahovic. But Bayern were calling in October because maybe they could need a backup for Harry Kane, and he's one of the players they've been following. So I think the Vlahovic situation is going to be interesting. At the moment with Juventus, nothing advanced or concrete over a new contract. But in this case also, never say never. Let's see what's going to happen.
And what about Marco Senesi? Can he leave Bournemouth in the summer?
Yeah, they didn't announce this yet in terms of official communications, but I can tell you today that yes, Marco Senesi will leave Bournemouth in the summer transfer window. It's already decided. It's already verbally agreed between parties. Bournemouth know that the player is not going to extend his contract, and also there is already the club in active conversations to try find a replacement. Probably in Italy, the Italian market is always appreciated by the club, and so this could be the solution. For Senesi, watch out also in this case for Juventus, because Juve have been interested in Senesi already for some weeks, and so he's one of the players they're tracking. Premier League clubs also enter in the conversation for Marco Senesi, so I think he's going to be another underrated transfer for this summer.
What's already official has been the one of Leon Goretzka leaving Bayern Munich at the end of the season. Do you think, or you know, if there are already some proposal for him?
I think he will have plenty of proposals. He had the chance to go to Atletico Madrid, then the deal was not proceeding, but it was a possibility in the January window. Then I think, let's see if Atletico decide to return, but I think also from Italy, some clubs could be interested. For example, Napoli will be in conversation with his agents. AC Milan have met with his agents for different topics. Let's see if they will ask also about Leon Goretzka, who is available on a free. I think also Premier League clubs will make some calls very soon. There is nothing pre-agreed or done with Manchester United. There were some stories in the final days of the window coming from England saying that Leon Goretzka decided to announce his goodbye to Bayern in the summer just because he already agreed something with Man United. No, at the moment there is nothing agreed with Man United. But let's see what happens in terms of Premier League, Serie A, and eventually Atletico Madrid.
And what about Toni Rudiger, another big star potentially of the summer?
Yeah, he's going to be a big name to follow in this summer transfer window. At the moment, no conversations with Real Madrid over new contract. So it's very quiet between Rudiger and Real Madrid. Then we know that Real Madrid, when players are over 30, they always like to discuss at the very end of the season rather than doing that earlier when it's about players out of contract. I think the situation of Rudiger could be a very interesting one from European clubs and Saudi clubs in this case. From Saudi, they already wanted Rudiger 2 years ago. Also last summer, there has always been plenty of interest in Toni Rudiger. So I think this is going to be interesting again between Europe and Saudi, because I have a feeling that David Alaba will leave Real Madrid 100% for sure. For Toni Rudiger, there is also a possibility.
Touching on another Real Madrid defender, another Real Madrid legend, such as Dani Carvajal, can he also potentially leave the club in the summer?
Yeah, there were many rumors on this story in the last 24 hours after Real Madrid beat Valencia. Dani Carvajal didn't play, and there was this image of Dani Carvajal talking to Real Madrid staff member Antonio Pintus about his situation. In these images, Carvajal was looking like quite upset with his situation and talking about something with the staff. So from this, we had many rumors in the Spanish press. The reality is that Dani Carvajal would love to play, would love to help, would love to be a big part of this Real Madrid project still. And this is why he didn't consider any proposal he received in the recent months or years. Then let's see, because if in the summer, it's similar to what I said about Toni Rudiger, Real Madrid like to discuss at the very end of the summer, of the season for the summer transfer window, to plan for the summer transfer window. But at the moment, Dani Carvajal's desire is still to stay at Real Madrid. Then obviously, if he's not playing and if new contract can't be agreed, at that point, let's see what kind of opportunities he will have. What I can guarantee is that Dani Carvajal doesn't want to play against Real Madrid. So it means no Spanish football. And eventually, I think there is also a chance he's not going to be in Champions League next season if he's leaving Real Madrid, with interest from Qatar, MLS, and not only, so he will have plenty of options as well.
And then the last name for today's episode is probably the biggest one for the summer, and that's Robert Lewandowski. What do you think will be his future in the summer?
Yeah, I can guarantee that, as I already told you, Lewandowski will decide his future at the end of the season, not now, because he really believes he can win everything with Barcelona this season. And so Lewandowski wants to be fully focused on this. His message to people close to him was, let me focus on present. Let me focus on titles. We can make something historical. And so Lewandowski full focus is on present. Then there is interest from Saudi, for sure. Big money. So Saudi Pro League is a potential destination. Then there is MLS, because from MLS they are prepared to make important proposals to Robert Lewandowski. So these two options we have to consider. And then on Barca, let's see what's going to happen from now to the end of the season. If Barca decided to reopen conversations with the agent of the player about a short contract, maybe one more season, to help Barcelona for one more year or not, I think this will depend on how the second half of the season will go. If Lewandowski will keep performing as a fantastic striker he is, I think he still has a percentage to stay at Barcelona for one more year. Otherwise, it's going to be time to part ways and try something different.
Thank you, Fabri, for that. Talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.